there, thanks for tuning in to Duck Bricks. I'm Chris, aka the Brick Archivist, and today I'm coming to you with some breaking news. The set list for the first half of 2021 for the LEGO Star Wars theme has finally been revealed. It's that time of the year. Joining me today for discussion is my partner Brick. Now Brick, I know you and I have both seen this list, and I think our general opinion is that it's not a great one. There's only 2 to 3 sets that we're both really interested in getting. But I guess going into the standard stuff, because there is quite a lot to discuss, LEGO Star Wars seems to be taking a new direction this year. But of course we have our Microfighters, which appear every year. Our first one is the Millennium Falcon Microfighter, which is not a surprise, clocking in at $10, set number 75295. This is in fact our third Falcon Microfighter. We got one in 2014 with the Han Solo minifigure to launch the Microfighters line. And we got another one for the sequels, with The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens being driven by Chewbacca and a slightly different radar dish.
I'm curious where they're going to go with it. I would imagine it's probably most likely going to be a Rey Millennium Falcon, because, I mean, who else would you do?
Yeah.
Unless you're going to redo, like, Chewbacca or maybe a Lando. A Lando Microfighter would be cool, but I doubt they'll do it because of the cape.
That, and also the Lando figure, especially the old Lando, is a pretty sought-after figure. He was only in the most expensive Millennium Falcon that came out recently, so I don't know if they're going to be putting him in a $10 set. The other thing that I'm just seeing right now that was just kind of even breaking news within the breaking news is that the figure for the set will be Han Solo in a brown coat. So it seems that they're just going to be doing another original trilogy one. I guess this kind of makes sense because it's been 6 years since we got our first one, but frankly it is kind of boring to be getting another Millennium Falcon Microfighter, our third one, especially as it's really not any different besides the radar dish from the Force Awakens / Last Jedi one.
Yeah.
The other thing that kind of stands out to me is that we know that Han Solo will be in a brown coat for this, but the only brown coat Han Solos are either the Solo movie version or some of the Hoth variants or the old Han Solo, and we know that the radar dish is allegedly back to normal. So I'm curious to see if this will be the Solo version or this will be the standard Millennium Falcon. I'm guessing it's the standard, but what are your thoughts on them making a Solo Microfighter?
Kind of looking at it, it would be pretty easy to add the front escape pod if they were to do the Solo one, especially given the attachment mechanism that they use for the slanting feature of the old one, the Chewbacca one, that is.
I can definitely see that as well. Unfortunately, it probably is pretty unlikely. The Solo movie didn't do too well, and LEGO doesn't seem to be interested in revisiting it too much, but we can hope that they could do something to spice it up from the normal. But I guess moving on, our second one is a Microfighter 2-pack. We've been getting the past 2 ones as Tatooine themed. First we got the Escape Pod versus Dewback Microfighter in 2019, and just this year we got the T-16 Skyhopper versus the Bantha Microfighters. And both of these kind of gave us at least some new interesting minifigures. For example, we got a new Sand Trooper in a dual mold fashion, and we got a new T-16 pilot in that Microfighter. So this new one is set on Hoth. It will feature a Tauntaun and AT-AT.
I don't think a brick-built Tauntaun is going to be very highly sought for, just like the Tatooine creatures. I thought they were subpar. That being said, the AT-AT may look good, but I feel like they've already done that, so I don't know how interesting it'll actually be.
Yeah, they did an AT-AT in 2015. They also did an AT-M6 in 2018, so it actually hasn't been too long since we've gotten a 4-legged walker microfighter. I'm personally actually on the opposite end here. I'm not interested in the AT-AT, but I am interested in the Tauntaun, because I have been pleasantly surprised before. I like the Dewback and I like the Bantha. I think that they're pretty cute representations of the animals. But then again, there's nothing too interesting to say about this one. So I guess we can move on. Our next and final Microfighter is a little bit of an oddity because we do not know the subject matter. It has not been revealed yet, and I'm guessing this is because it has some sort of tie-in with a current or future Star Wars media franchise, such as The Mandalorian or the Bad Batch TV show. For me, it could be either a Microfighter Razor Crest, which personally I'd really like. It'd be a nice way to get the Mando minifigure for just $10 versus the $40 in the AT-ST. But it could also very well be the Bad Batch ship, especially because we don't see any other Bad Batch sets in this wave, and the Skywalker Saga video game actually has a DLC to focus on them. So they've got to incorporate them somehow. We did see the helmet of one of their members leak. It was a gunmetal gray Phase 2 clone helmet. Obviously it leaked with no printing. We don't know if it's that for sure, but what other character has a gunmetal helmet, so I'm guessing it is going to be them. So for me, it's either this or the Razor Crest, but then again, I could be completely surprised with an entirely new thing that I just didn't think of whatsoever, or it could just be some original trilogy or classic vehicle that for some reason had the name omitted. What do you think?
I agree. The Razorback would probably be a cooler build, but yeah, the Bad Batch would be nice to get a figure in that set. That being said, I think that there's a higher chance that we get the Bad Batch figure, as it sounds like Star Wars is going to try to push it pretty hard. And also, we are slotted to have a Mandalorian set already this wave, so it'd be weird to have 2 of that and none for the new show.
All good points, and yes, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Bad Batch ship. I'd actually be pretty happy with that. That being said, I guess we can move on to, let's say, the mainline sets. Starting off, we've got a 4+ Resistance X-Wing. Honestly, probably not too much to discuss here. We know exactly what this is going to look like because we got an original Trilogy Juniors X-Wing just a few years ago, so it's probably going to look exactly like that. I'm guessing it's going to be in these standard Resistance colors because it doesn't say it's Poe's X-Wing, so it won't be his one from The Force Awakens, which would be black and orange, or the one from The Rise of Skywalker, which would be white and orange and some blue. But the more interesting one here is the Mandalorian Hero Vehicle. Set 75299, it will retail for $30. Of course, that's not the final name of the set. Hero Vehicle is a placeholder, but by that we know that it will include, obviously, the Mandalorian, and probably some other figures as well. This probably will be based on Season 2. And what are your thoughts on this one?
I can't really think of what this set would be. I'm assuming it's going to be from Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
For all we know, maybe it will be Ahsoka.
Oh boy, if this set has a new Beskar Mando, Baby Yoda, and a new Ahsoka figure, this set value will just skyrocket. And
oh no, set's too cheap to have those 3.
Fair enough.
Yeah, literally the only other promotional material that we can maybe see as a point towards a set is we see Mando on a speeder in Tatooine. Since this is $30, I can very easily see this being the same size as, say, the 501st Battle Pack, and have Mando on a massive speeder facing off against some enemy with a decent-sized walker or some decent-sized build for him to battle, and potentially including quite a few minifigures. But again, all speculation, all we have is the name, and I guess we can move on. The really interesting part of this is when we get to the TIE Fighter and X-Wing. 75300, TIE Fighter for $40, and 75301 X-Wing for $50. Now, in the past, TIE Fighters have been closer to 80, while X-Wings have been closer to 90 or 100. They clearly are trying to make these much more easy and accessible for new fans of the theme to get access to. Of course, these are the more classic mainstays of Star Wars, but what are your thoughts on this? And I do have some theories on how this might be in some response to replacing or overshadowing battle packs, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
I'm personally sick of seeing new X-Wing and TIE Fighters.
Oh, same.
I think that the design is kind of perfected. When it comes to the X-Wing, honestly, since the Resistance X-Wing came out and the TIE Fighter with the Solo one, anything they make that's just going to be cheaper, I feel like is going to be too much of a compromise for them. I don't think LEGO has a very good track record of downsizing sets. So
yeah.
It will be interesting. I understand that their target market is like kids who are coming up who have never bought these before, so it makes sense to keep re-releasing them. But if you already have one of the older sets, there's actually no reason to buy these.
Yeah, I can see that. And I don't know if you saw this, but the person who leaked the sets have also leaked some more details. He says, quote, "The X-Wing has reduced details. Both the level of detail of the wings and the tail have been reduced. The ship is also given a different nose construction and includes Luke Skywalker and R2-D2. As far as the TIE Fighter, he says, quote, a new TIE Fighter will be released. The set will cost only $39.99. The reason for this is that LEGO drives down the level of detail of the models to allow a cheaper price. While the cockpit piece of the new TIE Fighter is almost as big as the older versions, the wings have been shrunk significantly. There are 3 minifigures included in the set." So with this, I have a few theories, and the first of which is that, one, we don't see any battle packs. And if you go to previous LEGO set designer interviews, they have said on many occasions that the Star Wars battle packs are many children's first LEGO Star Wars set. It introduces them to both LEGO or Star Wars as a brand, and being able to buy those battle packs at a relatively cheap price point and get new minifigures is what really gets them invested and makes them become paying consumers for the bigger and larger scale minifigure sets. Now, we've seen that LEGO does not have any battle packs here. I think that they are testing the waters with a replacement for battle packs. Notice how these are obviously much cheaper and much simpler, but not quite juniors or 4+ level type sets. And I think that they are really trying to introduce a new entry point to the theme with these sets. Of course, we have to find out, wait and see, kind of what these will look like, how bad they will be, how good they will be, how much worse they will be compared to the better stuff that they can put out now. But it's interesting seeing how a lot of their focus for this line seems to be really drawing in new fans and trying to make price points accessible for people to say, hey, if I want a TIE Fighter and an X-Wing, I can get them both at a relatively affordable price, at least certainly more affordable than they were before. And as a new consumer willing to compromise on detail a little bit just to get them at a cheaper price, I can definitely see why LEGO would think this is a good idea. The question is, I don't know how the AFOL community will respond to this, and especially if people will be interested in these, even outside of the AFOL community, depending on how good they look.
On the next one, the Imperial Shuttle, $70 for that is kind of concerning. I don't believe that they'll be able to honestly take advantage of it and make it look very good.
The last time they did an Imperial Shuttle was the Imperial Shuttle Tiderium. This was a standard minifigure style set. It was a pretty good set as well for $100 US, and this came out in 2015. And for $100 US, this was already kind of pushing it in terms of the perfect scale for minifigure to play with, but also not quite minifigure scale like the massive UCS set. And we all know what happened the last time they did a shuttle for $70. That was the Knights of Ren transport ship. So get ready for this one to have a completely exposed underside. I'm not very confident in this turning out to be a good model, and I'm very interested to see why they're kind of going on the cheaper end for Star Wars this time, because this is the most expensive set of the wave. It almost feels to me like they're giving Star Wars a bit of a break, because in past years we've seen much bigger sets frontlining the first half of the year. I guess we only have to hope for the second half of the year to see if anything more impressive comes out.
Yeah, I do find that interesting, because especially given the most recent wave that we've had, a lot of those sets are pretty aggressively priced given the volume of kind of what you get for those costs.
Mm-hmm.
You can see sets such as like the IIT transport costing $100. Grievous Starfighter is what, 60, 70?
80.
Wow. The Knights of Ren shuttle costing 70. Wow, that's cheaper. Okay. The AAT at 40, 501st at 30, like that. It's a very expensive wave. So I guess you could kind of expect some Lego Star Wars hangover. And Lego might be trying to preemptively lower the prices for this wave, but I don't feel like this is the way to do it.
You know, I can definitely agree with that to an extent. I think that while it is good that LEGO is making these priced at a lot cheaper price points to bring in new fans, I still think that they should maybe not have gone 100% all the way. 99% of this wave seems to be kind of priced like this. I would have liked to see even just 2 to 3 more sets that are priced sort of similarly to what we've seen before to give us actually good builds. The other way that they could do it is that if they really wanted to stick to a lower price point, just focus on smaller source material. There's no need to make a big X-Wing, a big TIE Fighter, when you can make a good $50 to $40 set on something completely different and still make it up to the level of detail that people expect and an iconic vehicle. I can think of quite a few. That being said, I am looking at this wave, and the other thing that is interesting to me is that there's no obvious Bad Batch set, especially because that show is releasing in the first half of 2021, and we know the video game, the Skywalker Saga, will at least have a DLC for it. I'm curious as to why we don't actually have any sets for it, and I'm wondering if that will happen either now or in the summer wave. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like if they were going to include a set, this would probably be the wave. Or actually, no, I would say it would probably come out in the May the 4th wave, as it's starting to seem like LEGO is being reluctant of coming out with sets before the animated material, like we saw with the Clone Wars. I think the last time they did that was The Mandalorian.
Right.
I would imagine Disney wants to keep as much under wraps as possible. And LEGO, for all we know, might be getting sick of coming out with products that don't match the source material in the slightest. We've seen that with the Avengers. We've seen that with Star Wars. They get a lot of stuff wrong, and I would imagine that might hurt sales.
I can definitely see that as being a factor. The other thing that is just a little bit disappointing to me is that there are no prequel theme sets in this whatsoever. Even Microfighters, we're not getting anything. We're getting one sequel trilogy set, 1 or 2 maybe Mandalorian sets, and the rest are just original trilogy. So no prequel love this year. I'm guessing that this is because the previous wave was mostly prequel sets.
This wave was not entirely Clone Wars. We got a lot of non-Clone Wars sets. We got the IIT Transport, Death Star Final Duel, Knights of Ren Transport, Razor Crest. I may be missing something, but
Baby Yoda.
yes, that happened.
Well, when you put it like that, yeah, I guess the only prequel sets we got this wave were Anakin's Interceptor, which we've seen a million times before, Grievous's Starfighter, which, alright, it did give us a new clone, but again, very overpriced, and the AAT and 501st set.
They just want you to think like that's all they came out with.
Man, I don't know why LEGO won't show the prequels more love.
Yeah, I don't know.
But moving on to our final details of the day, we've got the May the 4th wave. This is 3 helmet sets, Darth Vader's helmet for $70, a Scout Trooper helmet for $50, and an unknown helmet for $70. I'm willing to bet there's a good chance this is the Mandalorian helmet, but again, I have no idea. We've got a $200 UCS set, which I also think is too early to speculate on. And then just one more droid set, which I believe is a probe droid.
Yeah, I don't think we can read too much into it right now, but it'll be interesting.
And yeah, to be honest, there's not too much to discuss here as compared to the original discussion with the other sets. The Darth Vader helmet is probably going to look relatively similar to the Darth Vader Celebration bust that was a Target exclusive a few years ago. And the only thing that's kind of strange to me is the Scout Trooper helmet is allegedly $50 versus the $70 where all the other ones are. I don't see how it's that much smaller than many of the other helmets. If the Stormtrooper helmet was $70, I don't know why this isn't $70 either. I'm worried that might compromise a little bit on quality, but who knows? Again, that price could just be a mistake. Maybe the leaker just wrote it down wrong, or maybe they're just doing it at a different scale for some reason. I don't know. The final thing is, what are your thoughts on them picking the Imperial probe droid versus a more maybe recognizable droid, say R2-D2 or something like that? It feels strange to me that their next choice for a droid set is the Imperial probe, especially because while it is iconic and was a main feature of Hoth, didn't really crop up throughout many of the other movies.
Yeah, this one's surprising to me as well. I think it has some pretty good potential, though. We'll see.
Yeah, again, probably too early to speculate on, but I guess now we've kind of reached the end. What are your overall thoughts on this wave?
As I started with the video, not very good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like this wave really appeals to kind of everyone. I think this is mainly just targeted at original trilogy. I would assume the sales numbers reflect well upon that, as LEGO's done this before and they'll probably keep doing it, but we'll see.
All right, and I guess that about sums it up. Thank you, Brick, for joining me on this discussion today. So leave your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us what you think. Are you happy with these? Do you wish that they covered different eras? And we'll be back with more news as soon as it comes to us. Stay tuned to Duck Breaks for more reviews, analyses, discussions, and more coming your way very soon. Thanks for tuning in, and bye-bye for now.